De Nationale Partij Suriname, de NPS, heeft afgelopen donderdag een internationale economische conferentie gehouden met als thema Building the Future. Speciale gast tijdens deze conferentie was Arthur Laver, economisch professor die tevens adviseur is geweest van voormalig ex-presidenten, Amerikaanse presidenten als Reagan en Trump. Hij gaf aan dat naar incentieven gekeken moet worden, niet alleen bij de overheidssector, maar ook bij de private sector.
When I look at Suriname today, and I'm going to touch on this as well, and I'll answer a lot more questions. I have traveled, in the last 3 or 4 years to maybe 15 different countries. I was in Islamabad with Imran Khan, Prime Minister Imran Khan in Islamabad before he was put in prison. Pakistan is one of the most poorly run countries. It's poverty everywhere. I mean, it's tragic. I was just a little bit ago, I was in Great Britain with the Conservative Party in Great Britain after they lost. This was in July of this past year. I was in London. I was also then, I went to El Salvador. I spent a lot of time with Nayib Bukele and his family. I spent a lot of time with him, have some good pictures and all that. I mean, but I've looked all around the world. I went and just recently was with a Malay, Javier Malay in Argentina. I spent 2.5 hours with him alone, and it was wonderful. I mean, very impressive. I did a lecture series in Brazil. I was with basically all the old Bolsonaro people. Paulo Guedes, if you know, one of the Chicago boys where I taught at the University of Chicago. I was over there in South Korea. If any of you have been to South Korea lately, you know the big problems that are having in South Korea with the former President Yoon, and they're trying to impeach Yoon. Lastly, of course, I'm here in Suriname with all of you, and it's just, you have here in this country, you have the people, the knowledge, the skills, and the resources to be able to develop a fantastic economy that provides for the citizenry of this country who deserve the very, very best. I have been amazed, just being here in the short time I've been here, is how patriotic your citizens are. They come back from all over the world to serve in Suriname. It's just, you have the ability to do that. Now, one of the real risks outstanding is indebtedness. And I'm going to warn you, in all of the countries I've been involved with, one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest maldoers of that is something called the International Monetary Fund. What they do is they get you to borrow lots and lots and lots of money. So you become very heavily indebted to them. Then, of course, you borrow too much money. You aren't able to pay it back. And then they come in as surrogate rulers of your country and tell you what you have to do. You have to do this, you have to do that. You do not want a foreign power, especially not the IMF, to come in and do that. As sooner you can be debt-free in this world economy, my view is the better off you're going to be. Now, I do want to talk to you about 2 economic principles here before I finish. And there are 2 types of incentives, and I want you to focus on these 2 types of incentives. There are positive incentives, and there are negative incentives. Positive incentives, by illustration. If you feed a dog, you know where the dog will be at feeding time. It's going to be right there waiting for the food. All right? Positive incentives tell people what to do. People love good things and dislike bad things. If you make good things better, they will do more of them. I mean, again, positive incentives are a terrific motivator to get people to do things that need to be done. There are another set of incentives that are called negative incentives that are very different from positive incentives. Negative incentives, for example, if you beat a dog, you know where the dog won't be. It will not be where you gave it the beating. but you have no idea where the dog will be. It's going to run and take off, but you don't know where it's going to go. Positive incentives tell you what to do. Negative incentives tell you what not to do. When you look at policies, you want to make sure you discriminate as to whether this policy is a negative incentive or a positive incentive. For example, taxation is a negative incentive. People will do all they can to avoid reporting taxable income. What you don't know is how they will go about not reporting taxable income. They'll use evasion, avoidance, underground economy, specialized goods, etc., or they'll just quit working. But negative incentives tell you what not to do, and positive incentives tell you what to do. Incentives, subsidies to products. When I'm talking here with you on this, and what I want to do is say, what you want to make sure you do on your policies is you want to make sure you understand that when you tax people, it's a negative incentive on the activity that's being taxed. When you subsidize an activity, it's a positive incentive for doing the act. What you don't want to do is create an incentive structure that works in the wrong direction for your country. You do not want to tax work and subsidize non-work. If you tax people who work and you pay people who don't work, do not be surprised if you find a lot of people not working. Just please don't. That's exactly the type of thing. You must look at all these policies. You know, to have a moral government, to have moral policies, you need to not only be warm-hearted, you do have to be warm-hearted. You have to want to help those who can't help themselves. But you also want to be very clear-eyed and understand what the consequences of your policies will be. When you look at Suriname or the United States or any other country that you care about and love more than anything on earth, you want to make sure you don't sacrifice the future of your country by doing policies that destroy all the good incentives for development, growth, and prosperity on into the future. Now,